Welcome back. Today we are going to be taking a quick look at the MiG-23ML. And no, this is not a carbon copy of the MiG-23MLD. It's going to be a copy of the MiG-23MLA. Now, what are the differences between the ML as well as the MLD? The fact that the MLD has forward-facing slats, so the MLD will turn slightly better. However, when it comes to a raid fight or a very sustained fight, the energy retention of this thing is slightly superior. However, I think that the MLD is a better aircraft when it comes to RRB, and that's mainly because being able to get a kill a little bit quicker is much more important. Sure, the ML can outrate the MLD and it can hold its speed a bit better. But being able to get kills quickly is a much more important metric when it comes to an RRB lobby. We are not flying in a custom battle in a 1v1. We are trying to kill 12 F-14s because your team is going to be, well, basically non-existent. And this is mainly because your team will consist largely out of premiums, whereas the enemy team, which has the A6E, well, they don't have any premiums at this BR range, so they are going to be much better off very often. Now, the ML. Is it any good? Yes, it's an amazing aircraft, and despite the fact that your team is going to be absolutely horrible, you still have some of the best 11.3 flight performance in the entire game. You now also get some R60Ms, which are nice. The only issue that I have found is that you cannot take both of these missiles at once anymore. You cannot take the R24T together with the R24R, and that's the kind of drawback when it comes to this versus the MLA, but that's the main thing. So you have to make a choice. Do you like taking the radar variant, which is very potent, and if you are not on the deck and they are within range, it's almost impossible to defeat. But they can counter launch on you, because the AIM-7F is just a very nasty missile. Whereas with the R24T you can be more sneaky, you can shoot it off at weird angles and get some funny kills in. It's a bit of a trade-off. I mostly take the R24Ts, unless it's late game, when I have to land, I have to switch my loadout, and then I will take out the R24Rs, and I have a very easy time killing the last one or two guys, because with the R24T, if the last enemy, or if it's one of the last two enemies, they are going to be looking for you, and they are going to be very vigilant, and if they have flares, then the R24T is simply not that effective. So I think that the R24T at the start of the game is pretty good. Later on, unless you can shoot it from some weird angles, but it's just less likely to really occur. So yes, it's an amazing premium. Should you still pick it up? I would say still wait for the sales. It's one of the best 11.3s in the game. But as of right now, most of you guys probably already have something like the MLD. You can just put a talisman on that thing. Now, if you have absolutely nothing here, I do not recommend you to start off with the ML. Sure, it's a great plane. It's not the easiest plane to fly, and you do need to set up things like your wing sweep, which are very important when it comes to flying this thing. So yes, it will require some experience, but that kind of goes without saying, considering you are at 11.3. So I would say, when the 50% sales come around, buy something like the SU-11. That thing will always be good, and it doesn't really matter how new you are going to have some effectiveness in that thing, other than maybe aiming the guns. And then you can kind of progress from there. And until this thing goes on sale, I mean, the price is going to be roughly the same if you buy this and a talisman something like a MiG-19 or an SU-25 and a talisman the MLD. It's roughly the same. So until it goes on sale, I wouldn't worry about this thing. But hey, if you already picked it up, or if you're already looking to pick it up regardless, then let's get right into that. Before we do that, however, thank you to all my YouTube members and my Patreons and everyone looking to buy this skill issue decal. You can do so in the description down below. You get a 3% discount, I get a cut, and you get this decal to put all over your vehicle. And to the guy that's saying it's a bug because it's angled, that's another bug. Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but that's intentional. And I want to start off with showing you the R24Ts. They're very good, and I want to start off with this kill in particular, because this is the first kill that I've gotten since I acquired the God of War title, and the name that this guy has is just too perfect to pass up on. What an absolute skill issue. If you want to see the kill that I've gotten to get the God of War title, it will be at the end of the video. But for now, I want to show you these missiles. We shoot it off, and for the deck, together with the fact that he's kind of flying away from us, that's basically the max range that missile will travel. It was almost gliding into the guy's ass, but luckily for us, he gets hit with the skill issue and gets sent back right to the hangar. He will use the RST mode, it locks him up, it doesn't give him a warning, allows me to lead the missile, and because I'm directly below him, he never saw it coming. An R60 probably could have hit that too, but but that's besides the point. I hope it does show you a little bit what the capability is of these missiles, and the beauty is that I don't have to worry about it. They're not gonna be seeing it if they aren't looking my way already, because they don't get a warning from that RWR that they have, because I'm not actually radar spiking them whatsoever. So here we are with an actual full game. I come in from a little bit of altitude this game because my team was doing some weird stuff, so I decided to go off at a little bit of an off angle. F14 directly on top, F16 directly from the side. And this is exactly the kind of angles that you want, and just like that, 2 kills out of the gate. R24s come in clutch, and now we still have to salvage this game because our team isn't looking particularly hot. The fact that we now have R60Ms is definitely helpful. It doesn't give us that much more capabilities, but it makes it so that we can shoot it from weirder angles. The missile itself is still as easily flammable as the last one. However, shooting from weird angles makes it a little bit harder to spot. Now I break off from the F16 because I have a feeling that he's not going to be flaring that missile, and I need to go starting defensive against the F14 here that comes in directly after us. I will not get tangled up with the F14, MiG-29 is going for him, and I need to go defensive with the F16, because I'm not going to be turning with the F14 while the F16 is closing on us. So now the MiG-29 gets on the 6 of the F14, slowly but surely it's starting to look a little bit like a Congo line, but I need to go defensive against that missile. MiG-29 clears my 6, and now it's 2v2. The F16 is engaging my teammate, so I want to go for him first. We are not able to get our shots off, but I notice that the MiG-23 is being kind of passive, and that he's kind of breaking off. So he's giving me some room to pressure this F16, push him off the 6 of my teammate, and after he is very slow, I'm going to break off because I notice that the MiG-23 is finally turning around for us. So we simply dive out, we disengage, but we already cleared the 6 of my teammate, so now we have a little bit of time. We go defensive, MiG-23 doesn't actually go for us, so we can turn around. MiG-29, unfortunately for us, gets slapped out of the air. But the F-16 right now is vulnerable, and I do not want this guy to get his energy back and his positioning back. So I'm going to pressure him right now. We dodge the head on, we pull back in as he's trying to go underneath us. F-16 down, and now it's a 1v1 against the MiG-23, and it's a German one. So it's either the MF or an MLA. Either way, worst case, it's a mirror matchup. He doesn't seem to flare it, he gets killed by an R60M, and that's going to be a pretty quick game. And here's the continuation of the clip of the intro with the R24. We go head on with an F14, and I'm just going to stay within the terrain. I then don't have to really worry about the AIM-7F, it's just not going to be tracking. It misses us, it goes into the ground, and then we are beneath him. So I want to start dogfighting this guy ASAP, because an F14, you kind of want to fight it as it's still high-ish on fuel, and you can very easily turn into them that way. If they get on very low fuel, they become very scary in this thing, especially if they get on your 6, of which I will show you an example here in a second. Our team isn't looking too hot, and there's a lot of enemy planes in the area, and this is going to be a very stereotypical match in this thing. Your team gets absolutely crushed before you even enter the battlefield sometimes, so you're kind of forced to just rush in and kill the enemy team before they start killing yours, but realistically that's not going to happen, and that's simply because, well, you're going to be 1v6 basically at the start of the game, then you die, and then your team still gets snowballed, so it doesn't really matter. The teams are absolutely atrocious, they are winnable, but you almost need to get lucky sometimes, because there is just too many F-14s and F-16s in the area, and they complement each other almost perfectly, which makes it nearly impossible to counter if they are playing it right. And I mean, most of the time they don't. But their performance as well as their numbers just really throw a wrench in your plans, and they really just counter you in every conceivable metric in this kind of matchup. So we go defensive, we start turning in. I want to not pull my wings out all the way yet because I will rip my wings off, so I'm waiting to go a little bit slower, and I do this by going vertical to store some of my energy, and I'm hoping that the F-14s are still on relatively high fuel. The issue is the 2v1, I felt not confident, but I felt that it was winnable. The second that third F-16 comes in, it turns into a little bit of an issue. I see that the F-16 is just slinging missiles out left and right. He's probably not the brightest tool in the shed, but he is still going to be there, and he's still going to be annoying. So I try to turn around, but I'm not able to actually do anything because I lose control the second I was about to fire. Was that missile going to hit? Probably not. But there was potentially a chance, and it would have changed the outcome of this match a little bit. I try to go over the nose of the F-14. He is starting to overshoot. He is slowly creeping forward, and slowly but surely. Here we are with the last game of the day, and this is going to be the game where I got my God of War title. It really isn't that big of a deal, but I mean it took so long to get, I might as well put it in the video somewhere as my own little back catalog. And at the end we will have a dogfight with an F-16. So we shoot an R-24 at the MiG-29. It actually loses track, which is a little bit unfortunate. The second missile then very easily curls in because he's not really paying attention. He gets set on fire. And all we have to do now is just make sure that he doesn't get stolen, which is relatively easy because we are right on 6. Just kidding, we get a hit. But he's still going to give us the kill, so we are completely fine. He goes into the ground and then Mr. Games in Bed in front of us. Well, he already has a guy on a 6, so it's not completely fair here. Because he has to pay attention to both of us, and I'm going to abuse the ever-living hell out of that. Because the F-14 riding your ass at an F-16 is actually pretty annoying. Because the F-14 slows down very easily, it pulls a lot of AOA, and it's just very hard to shake off your 6 if he is committed. So first thing I do is I cut the throttle a little bit, and I try to stay behind him. I want to say what this guy is doing. He's cutting throttle himself. And I was going to get the shot right here, but I simply miss it. So, nice setup, but we miss. And this is going to happen to a lot of us. And I see you guys ask me sometimes, what happens if you go for a shot and you miss it? Well, sometimes you put yourself in a pretty bad position. And I do it right here. If it's 1v1, this is the kind of position I actually don't want to be in. Sure, I'm on the 6 of the F-16. But in terms of vertical power and just being able to raid fight me, I would much rather be in an MLD in this position. I might be on a 6, but he actually, if this is a 1v1, he can kill me from this position. Sure, he needs to do it right and he needs to make no mistakes, but he can do it. Even though I have the position, he has the plane to counter this. So I'm just pulling in here. He goes vertical right in front of us. He kind of reverses his turn. But we tuck him into bed and he is going to be taking a nap. And that's the God of War title. Not the best kill, doesn't really matter, but I just wanted to put it in here for my own sake. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.